Been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up podcast. My name is Cameron McCulloch-Keeble, and I am joined, as ever, by my press pass partner in crime, Lewis Crawford. Hello.
Hello.
Fuck me, it's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
I realised that I made a mistake, because I put on the page, hey, we'll be back soon, or when Borderlands 3 gets announced, thinking, that's probably a bit away, and then they did it. So,
yeah.
If anything, I like to think that we called their bluff. But
I think so.
probably, yeah.
We had the first
Pitchford
scoop.
was waiting. He was like, there we go, there's the post.
Definitely.
So, yeah, as some of you have probably gathered, Games Up is going to change fairly drastically, but we won't talk about that this week. We'll talk about that another time, because this week we are sat here in the press lounge of EGX Rezzed 2019, and we have played a buttload of indie games.
How much is a buttload?
It depends on the size of butt, I would say.
Makes sense.
Which means it's not a
So,
very good unit of measurement, really, is it? Yeah, not a very good unit of measurement is them butts. Either way, we played a lot. We played a lot of indie games, and some of them were very good. Is this your first Rezzed?
Yeah, actually, it's the first time I've been to Rezzed. I really enjoy kind of it's a lot more relaxed than in EGX. It's a lot more come along, play games, chill. Whereas EGX is like, it's the Michael Bay of shows. It's the explosions and the visuals and the flashy lights and the darkness.
Well, and also, like, EGX is, you spend 6 hours at EGX, you'll play 10 games in 1 hour, then you'll play one game in 10 hours.
Yeah.
And whereas here, like, I think the attitude is totally different, because people come and expect to play indie games. So, like, we walked in, the first thing we did was walk in and play Borderlands Game of the Year edition. Surprisingly good. Like, I'm surprised at how well polished that has been, because the original one was clunky. Like, maybe more nuanced, but clunky, and it's really great. But we walked in and played that just, like, off the street.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I've had to wait for indies, which is totally the flip side of what like, big EGX is. Yeah, it's lovely. So we're here at Tobacco Dock, and, Tobacco Dock is pretty.
Yeah.
It's a really nice building, and what's quite nice about this is they've been able to sort of give little coves and caves to people. So there's an AMD cave, there's the left field cave, there's the this, that, the other cave, and it's like walking into little parties each time.
Yeah.
It's good fun. So what was the kind of favourite thing that you saw?
Well, so, I always, every time I go to EGX, I always say the same thing. I always love going to the left field collection.
Yes.
And just seeing kind of there's always a variance, right? You get stuff that goes from being like, kind of out there, but quite, you can see it being done and see it being like brought into something.
Yeah.
There's kind of an interesting nugget there that could be useful or could be used in something. To like unhinged and kind of weird and out there and crazy. And
yeah. You get like that's a really cool nugget of a video game.
Yeah.
Or you get that's a literal nugget of something. Tap it and it will do things.
Yeah, because I think that's the fun.
Do you remember the knife game?
Knife
in
game?
the left field collection a few years ago? You know the finger knife game?
Oh yeah.
Somebody turned it into a game. It was a knife on a servo, and every time you tapped a screen, it would randomly decide how many stabs it would take at your finger, and people just like went along and got stabbed.
Yeah. I know the one last EGX again. It was like you write your emotions on a piece of paper and put them into the printer, or put them into a shredder. Oh, yeah. tear pages out of books and put them in shredder. So actually, I think these ones were a bit more tame than that, but.
Yeah, no, but I'm with you. I know exactly what you're about to say. Is there was nothing that made me think, oh, okay. But there was stuff that is like a total riff on what a game is.
That's the stuff I love. The stuff that isn't like, well, actually, even the stuff that doesn't even have like a screen. It's just like a thing, like as you say, like a box or like a nugget. But like that kind of stuff where you're really just playing on what is a game at that point.
Yes, yeah. It's like it's like if walking simulators got more artistic. Yeah. But no, yeah, I'm totally with you. The left field's great. I like that the rock paper shotgun guys are turning their section into kind of a mix between left field and indie. So there's some stuff in the rock paper shotgun section at the minute that is not a traditional control scheme. It doesn't have a controller or use a keyboard or anything like that. It's got some kind of different interface. But actually, you can see how it's a step away from being such a unique idea for a game. Like, it's nice to think that you don't have to have the traditional thing to play something brilliant. And actually, that leads us quite nicely onto our first interview. So this is the Human Vacation Bureau, and they are fantastic. Their game is a booking, a travel bureau, a booking site, basically, for human vacations. And this is their interview. One of my favourite things about EGX and the indie section in any of their shows is coming down and finding the games that make you go, huh, that's a game. And this is and this is the perfect example of that. So hello. Who are you, and what is your game?
Things that make you go, it's not even like a positive noise. It's just sort of a like, I
mean it in a good way.
Okay, in a good way. My name is Rachel Clancy, and my game is a booking system for booking your next human incarnation called Human Vacation Bureau.
And when she says booking system, it's like quite literal. I sat here for a good 10 minutes with Rachel booking the way I wanted to spend my life, going through packages and this, that, the other. And what I really liked about this game, and the reason I kind of wanted to come back and grab a few minutes with you, is because it's very rare that a game like this, in the kind of left field-ish style of games, makes you think existentially. And yet you can with a booking system. So
I think so. I love like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Douglas Adams, and it's kind of, it's supposed to be funny, like, again, it's existential, but there's some line items like, having sex with the Eiffel Tower, or like drawing your lover naked wearing the Star of the Sea, or getting into a high-speed speedboat chase. So, I mean, ideally, I would love people to like walk away and think about like, oh, you know what, the bad things that happened to me in my life, they actually made me who I am, or like, okay, I could do all of these things now in this incarnation, but at the same time, you can just play it and like laugh about like choosing 69 and then orgy and then Eyes Wide Shut orgy as well. So there's different levels of kind of thoughtfulness that you can have with this game.
So where did the idea for the Human Vacation Bureau come from?
It came from my girlfriend. She and I made another one of the games that are here, and she was joking with me once that we're very lucky that we booked our human vacation at the same time, so that we both met each other. Or when something goes wrong, we're like, I didn't sign up for this on my human vacation. But yeah, so and it kind of spiraled from there.
So it sounds like it's a pretty personal kind of project for you then.
Yeah, of course. And because it's made in HTML, I made it in Dreamweaver. So my skills aren't amazing as a programmer, so I used the basic tool that I knew how to work with. And what it involved was a lot of writing and a little bit of CSS. And there's also, I think, like, people really like the fact that there's this button here, which prints you out a ticket, which is powered by Arduino. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's all self. I made everything. I made the cabinet and I made the design for it. So, yeah.
So we went through a sort of range of options when I played it earlier. Some that included terrible things that we won't go into, and some that included moments from Face Off. What do you kind of want people to take away from this? You mentioned already, like, the kind of more peace with their own life, I suppose, but. There's two routes to play. The route that we played through was the custom experience, where you choose from the master list, which has every item that the packages offer, and including like a bunch of different extra ones. But then the packages list, the life events are gathered together in groups of 10. And in those packages, you can see that, like, okay, so I want to be like a lifesaver, so that means that maybe my life will be quite quiet, but there'll be one kind of pivotal moment that changes everything. Or I want to be a star-crossed lover, so that means that me and my loved one are going to go up against some adversity. And so what I wanted people to think is that, the things that happened to you that were bad or painful, that if you grow from them, then they can be an important part of what makes you who you are. So it's a way of reclaiming the things that have happened to you that maybe seem a bit negative at the time. And that's exactly why I say it's a game that makes you go, it's not.
Has graduated into a
It's a I'll try and get between them. It's a game that makes you go. It doesn't look like a traditional video game, but there's something that you can really take away from it, and I think that's really cool. So we'll leave this on a lighter note. You've been asking for suggestions of things to add to these vacations.
Were you requesting for... no, the man who played after you asked me to include traveling through a black hole and going to space. And then the last person who was here just asked for the word tacos with an exclamation mark. That's good.
Is there anything that you didn't include that's too much or too far?
I did, because I decided that this is my game, and because the Human Vacation Bureau, it's not like a universal, like everything that exists. I decided to leave things out if I thought that, like, I didn't put incels in or something like that, because I thought that like you can be a lifelong virgin, but like something like that, it's quite politically loaded, and I decided that I wanted to kind of curate a list of life events that I thought were funny and weren't like hurtful or offensive or like things like that. So this is my game and my authorial voice. So
they carry weight without necessarily being weighty things.
Exactly. So I'm kind of checking through carefully that there aren't anything that's too pointed, and also a classmate of mine is deaf, and originally this was going to be about choosing the vessel, choosing the body that you're in.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why I say up at the front that it's not, we don't take care of your body, we take care of your events, so that no matter what body you were born into, that you would be able to have the life that you wanted, which isn't necessarily the way that we live now, but that's the kind of the utopia of the game.
Awesome. Every time I sit down in front of it, I take away something else. So this was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And one more thing is, what's the kind of end game for this? Because something like this would be quite hard to put out. What do you? How can people interact with this
so
if they're
this
interested?
game currently lives on itch, so you can find the Human Vacation Bureau on itch, and you can play through there. But for me, this game is an experiment, and I've learned a lot from doing it, and I just want to get it working robustly and working well, and get the button working properly. And then after that, I'm going to make more games, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, go to itch. We'll have a link in the description or article somewhere, I'm sure. And yeah, go to itch and try this out and design your own human vacation, I guess. Thank you very much.
Thank you for talking to me.
So, the Left Field collection, awesome, very unconventional. My game of the show is super conventional and beat the shit out of us. And I mean beat quite literally, because it was the music game.
Ah, yes, okay.
Vectronome, I think. Vectronome.
I really enjoyed that. And
it was awesome.
It was very good that it was multiplayer. We both were able to play this game, and essentially you just try and move to the beat, get to the end, but the path you're walking on changes as the beat goes, and so you have to be on every beat to actually continue playing through that game.
It kind of reminds me of, there was a game a couple of years ago, I can't remember.
Necrodancer?
No, it was Pivot. Is it Pivot? No, it's not. It's like Pivot. It was a colourful platformer in that sense, and you all you could do was left and right, and you spun around until you got to the gap.
Oh, this is like your favourite game. How do you not know the name of it?
Oh, is it Super Hexagon? Yeah, Super Hexagon.
Literally like the game that you played ridiculous amounts of.
I know, and I'm still not good at it. So it reminds me of kind of like Super Hexagon and Ding Dong XL if they crossed.
Oh yeah,
because it's like it's bright, it's vibrant, it's got the house beat, but also like you need that timing.
Yeah.
If you're off the timing, it's gone.
Yeah, no, I actually really enjoyed that. It's the kind of thing I would play, for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of thing you'd spend a lot of time on.
It also kind of reminded me of, I got a Snipper Clips vibe from it when we were playing in 2-player, where we were like going after different things,
I get what you
and one making a mistake affected the other. Like, the first thing I ever played on the Switch was Snipper Clips, and I thought, this is brilliant, because it's really difficult to design a game that has two people, each doing different things that immediately doesn't like tune you out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, it's better now?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
So much better. Like, it's not bad in there because they don't pick up a lot of stuff, but it's like every now and then you'll get a wow from a different game.
Okay.
And it's one of my favourite things about EGX is that you come here and get to try like every different thing under the sun, and usually they're fun and interesting. And for the first time, I've picked to interview somebody because it frustrated the living hell out of me. Hello, who are you and what is your game?
I'm Raymond. I'm from Lidopium, and we created Vectronome, a puzzle platformer that's based on the rhythm of the music.
Nice. So the trick with Vectronome?
Yeah.
Yeah, the trick with Vectronome is that you're listening to a kind of EDM style beat.
Yes.
And the platform that you are on, the puzzle changes as the beat happens. Now, if you can imagine how difficult a traditional platformer is, imagine how much more difficult it is with bright, vibrant lights, lots of colours, EDM house music, and it's so difficult. How do you do it?
Practice. Like, for me, it's really practice, but yeah, it's just following the beat, and eventually you get it. Like, you're just in the game, you're in the music, and everything comes together.
So, what exactly is your part of the development team? What do you do?
I'm the 3D artist and the 2D artist. Yeah.
So, Vectronome is like extremely vibrant. There's a lot of colour in it.
Yeah.
I imagine it's done to try and throw you off a bit to make that puzzle harder. How difficult is it to do that and not go too far?
Well, I think very. Like, you don't want somebody to give them like an epileptic shock.
Of course.
Yeah, like.
That's like uber hard mode of the game, right?
We started the game at a game jam,
okay.
And at that time was called Isometrical Epileptic. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, because we wanted something really flashy and really, popping up.
So you're deliberately going for that kind of in-your-face style.
Yeah.
Scene. So you say that you joined the game a little later on in its lifespan. Did it look different from when you've joined it? Like, have you put your touch on it?
The UI really? Yes, there was no UI, and now there is.
Okay.
Like a really, I think, good UI, but like game-wise, not really. Like, there is certain polishing, but it's still the main, the core of the game jam is still there.
And then, as we've already established, Vectronome is incredibly frustrating. I'm still shaking a little bit. How difficult is it to like play test and check what you've done? Like,
we have just like this certain vision of the game, and
so when you play it, it's like tapping into the Matrix. You just know how it works.
Yeah. Like, my colleagues, they know every level out of their heads. They can play them with their eyes closed.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it's fun to see people try it, and like you learn a lot about it. And yeah,
has the response been good to it so far? Have people enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Has
really.
there been a lot of shouting and swearing?
Sorry?
Has there been a lot of shouts and swears when it goes wrong?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Not really shouting, but you see them just get frustrated at the computer. It's amazing to see.
So when do you know when Vectronome will become available?
End of this spring.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And do you know what it's coming out on, or is that something we have to wait for?
And on PC, Mac, and the Nintendo Switch.
Perfect. This, to me, seems like a perfect Switch game, although I play the Switch when I'm travelling, and I can't imagine that Virgin Trains would appreciate me if I'm shouting that loudly. You should check out Vectronome. It's one of the best things I've seen here today. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, too.
Do you have a game of the show?
So it's probably one that I saw that we didn't get the chance to play. We were close to it.
Awkward.
It was it's called Terrorbane. And it's basically the basic concept of it is it's an RPG. It's someone's first RPG they've ever made, and it's just riddled with bugs and nothing works the way it should do. And I was watching kind of like different bits of it, some people playing it, and some like a highlight reel that they had going. And it also just looked very funny because it had like lots of references to things like Dark Souls and Mario and all sorts of things that were in there. But it just looked like a lot of fun. Looks like it's going to be a very funny game. It plays very much like Stanley Parable, where you get a choice of how to play. You have a choice of, you can play it like traditionally, or you can just go off the rails and see what happens. And it looks like there was a dancing game in there, and like a rhythm game, and awesome. Classic Japanese RPG, and all sorts of things were in there. And talking to the guys, it sounded really cool.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to play it, unfortunately, because as we queued up for it, they had to leave for a flight because we're here on the last day of EGX. and there's people from everywhere who have come over for it. So we, of course, talked to Thea, who you'll be hearing from later, and they're heading straight back at the end of the day. They've been up since 4 a.m. and they've got a flight, so it's one of those things. But yeah, we didn't get a chance to, but it sounds so cool. I love the idea of a Stanley Parable RPG. Could not tick any more boxes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it would not be an EGX if we didn't come and bother the people from Thea. So we'll hand you over now for 5 minutes of Mila. So that was Thea, as lovely as ever. Their game's kind of coming out fairly soon out of early access, so keep an eye on it. Do you know what I really, really liked about speaking to them? There was two things. One, they were the first interview we ever did, and they were 2 people making the first one. They're now 6 people, and like they are super healthy about how they do game dev. Like she was saying, they're in crunch, but the people they employ are not, and they won't be, and they encourage them not to be.
Yeah.
Like they've come over here, but they've come over here as the people who have made the games, and it's really nice to see a studio who have gone from minuscule to making a name. Like they now have a tabletop RPG, they have ports on everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and it's good to see that they've done it in a way that's super progressive. Yeah, they were really lovely. It was really good to see. So, what's been your favorite thing about being at EGX Rezzed?
I think that's really just there's such a nice atmosphere around, you know. Going back to kind of what I was saying with EGX compared to this, just being able to go in and sit down and have the developer talk to you, and also just not queuing for hours for everything.
That is nice, and it makes for a nicer vibe. Like one of the things that I love EGX, and don't get me wrong, we're not having a go at it, but one of the things that is apparent about it is it's so consumer focused, and it is, you want to play everything because there's a lot there, and so every year there's a lot of crowds and a lot of queues, and whereas this has been a lot more patient and quiet. It's been there's a lot more space, and you can really sort of take in everything, and it's really good that they've chosen such a nice location for it, because I imagine something like this in a hall would be good, but something like this in a place where you actually want to walk around and see more of it, it's been great. I've got a couple of favourite things. I'm so glad to see Special Effect here again. It's really awesome to see them using the Xbox adaptive controllers as well. I'm glad that that's now a good thing for them to use. I had a look at the checkpoint next door, which is hey, if you're working on events and stuff and it's taking a toll on your mental health and stress wise, go and rest in there, which is lovely. And they have a little cuddly bonfire from Dark Souls that you can sit around. It's great. And yeah, I'm totally with you. I've heard so many cool stories from devs today. Like in the interview that you heard earlier from Rachel from Human Bureau, she was talking about how originally the game was designed for deaf people or designed because of a deaf person, and you were supposed to be given a body instead of given a lifestyle, and it was about coming to terms with that, and it's just what it's become, and that's so cool. And then the next interview, which is my game of the show, comes from Vectronome, who we were speaking to earlier, and just the story of how he got involved and what the game means to him is really awesome, so you should check it out. It wouldn't be an EGX of any form if I didn't track down and immediately bother the people behind Thea to take them away and steal them and interview them for 2 minutes. So as is tradition, hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well. A bit cold, but great.
It is quite cold in here, although we found the warmest room on the bottom floor, I think, so
yes,
we're kind of giving you refuge from it in a way. So can you tell the people, as is what you do, who you are, what is Thea, why they should be interested?
Yes, so I'm Mila Yuki Eirich, and I'm the quest designer and writer for Muha Games, and our games are Thea the Awakening, and we're currently working on Thea 2, The Shattering.
So you're the first interview that I'm doing here with EGX Rezzed at Tobacco Dock, and immediately we've talked about how much different it is from EGX. It's not a giant hall with loads of people crammed together. It's got a lot more kind of an organic feel. Have you seen that in people coming to play the game? Are people playing it differently, experiencing it differently?
Yeah, it seems geared towards indies a little bit more. So I think because there are less of the big companies, big games here, I think people come here expecting expecting to come and play an indie
Yeah.
game, which I think makes a difference. So even though we're downstairs where the traffic isn't as heavy, we've actually had quite a constant flow of gamers coming in and just wanting to play. So yeah, I think there is a very different feel, and it's a really nice building as well. So I think the atmosphere is really nice.
It is really beautiful here. That's got to be quite good for Thea, because I imagine it's quite difficult to demo something as in-depth as Thea is.
It is. I mean, it's our constant struggle to show Thea at the expos. I think now, because it's almost finished and we have a tutorial and stuff, it's become easier, so we can actually just point people to the seat and step back and actually watch them play, because it also tells us if we've done the tutorials and tooltips well, because we can observe when they struggle and what they do. So it's slightly easier. I think we've done a better job of it than we did with Thea 1. So we're pleased about that, but it's always going to be difficult. It's one of those games that you really want to sit down and take your time with.
Yeah, you really need to dive into it to get out of it. So since we last chatted, you guys have announced like several things and put them in places. So you're now on Switch with Thea 1. You have, I think I'm right in thinking you have a tabletop game?
Yeah, well, it's not us actually doing the tabletop role-playing game. It's a friendly studio of ours. So they're also an indie, like we were with the one that they're only just, it's their first project. But we try to help them out as much as we can. So you can expect some of my writing in the tabletop role-playing game. You can expect our artwork and things like that. But they have expanded on the whole world and the details, which you have to do when you do a pen and paper role-playing game. So I think it will be very interesting for our fans as well, just to explore that Slavic mythology and folklore in depth. And it's also going to be focused on a village, so quite different from your typical role-playing focus. So even the adventuring is going to be about improving your village and gaining things for your village and things like that. So we're excited about it, and hopefully the Kickstarter will start sometime this summer.
Okay, cool. So, like, when you first started with Thea 1, did you have any kind of idea that it would be consoles and role-playing games and all the things it's become? No.
I mean, I often look back at it and remember saying to my partner that, I'll be happy if we make a little bit of money from this, and then we can maybe try and do something else. No, we had no idea, and Thea the Awakening is still going so well. We're just always amazed with it. Like you mentioned, the Switch version, that's been a surprise for us, and it's really nice. So yeah.
Like a good surprise in taking it.
Yes, a very good surprise. It's selling really well.
Oh, good.
And the reception is really good. So it's not all about the sales, but also just the reception.
Yeah, I've heard that Switch is kind of a really healthy platform for developers like yourselves these days. It's good that something as in depth as Thea is doing well on it. So when we were talking before, you said we're not too far away, but like a little bit away from some Thea 2's full release.
Yes.
How is the kind of vibe of the studio right now?
It's good. It's we're kind of at that stage where we are tired because since the early access release we have been pretty much working non-stop. So I think we're eager to finish, but we want to do it as well as we possibly can.
Yeah, of course.
So it's eager anticipation.
So what's the biggest thing that's changed since it came out? What's like the biggest piece of feedback that you got?
The biggest change from Thea 1, or
no, from the early access release.
From the early access, right? Oh, there's been a lot of features added. So we redesigned several things due to player feedback. So we redesigned food recipes, research, and at the moment we're redesigning resources as well. So that's all due to player feedback, so making it more interesting, more balanced. We've added seasons and weather conditions, which are really good. They add to that survival feel. So, like in the winter, you have to burn more food for wood. Sorry, and gathering food is more difficult. And in the summer, it's easier, and so on and so forth. So each season has a set of characteristics. Cool. The logbook is the one thing that is still for the quests that's still in the making. but that's coming very soon. So yeah, just that's the things I can think about off the top of my head. But yeah, there's been changes. We try to initially we had patches kind of every couple of days. Recently they've been more once a week or once every 10 days because we've added those bigger features, bigger stuff.
So it sounds like the community that you guys have is really kind of the backbone of the game at this point. Right?
Oh yes, they're amazing, and we have a Discord channel, and it has over 1,000 people now,
Awesome.
and they're pretty much constantly active. There's always someone on there, and they're really quick to help us with testing and ideas and feedback. So yeah, I can't imagine what Thea would look like without that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else you want us to know, anything to say, anything you want to pimp out, as it were?
No, I think we've covered a lot of it. So yeah, if you fancy a strategy role-playing card game mix, check us out. And the game is on sale this week until Monday, so it's a good time to check it out if you're interested.
There you go, and it's damn good. So do that. I'm afraid we'll have to send you back to the cold now, but thanks nonetheless.
Thanks.
See ya. And I think that wraps us up fairly nicely.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else you want to say?
Ooh, okay. Let's pause for a minute.
Okay.
Just
and then swear profusely.
No, I couldn't really say much without reiterating. So.
No, I get you, man. We've got to play some great games. The atmosphere is awesome. It's so chill. The location is lovely. Yeah, I'm really excited for EGX Rezzed next year.
Cosplay. That's what I saw. I saw some really good cosplay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that much of it.
It's mostly... I think actually there might be here as part of Devolver.
Oh, cool.
Because I saw...
Oh, I did see a Hotline Miami one.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And I saw a Pedro from my friend Pedro.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed some of the cosplay.
Cool.
I've seen a few.
Awesome. We got to meet a cool dog as well. That was good. Thanks everybody for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this, and thank you for listening and helping us get here so we can do press stuff. That's lovely. As I said, Games Up is going to change pretty heavily, but for the better, and we'll talk about that at some point in the future. But there's no rush on it. Borderlands 3 is a thing. That's cool. We said it would be, and yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll see you whenever the next one is, and it probably will be soon. And until then, the game's up.